All right, I want to go back now to the latest developments on the Russia-Ukraine war, and joining me now to discuss this is retired Brigadier General John Teichert. He's a former Assistant Deputy Undersecretary of the Air Force for International Affairs. General Teichert, welcome back to Washington Watch. Always an honor to have you, sir.
Jody, the honor's all mine. Thanks for having me.
All right, well, first of all, let's how about an update on how the fighting between Russia and Ukraine has been going here lately?
Jody, I think we've seen in the last 2 years essentially a stalemate. Russia has been taking some territory, but something like 1% of its overall gains only in the last 2 years, which mean that there has been a lot of bloodshed for very little gain. And while maybe in Putin's mind he's winning, the fact of the matter is he is nowhere close to his maximalist aims that he envisioned almost 4 years ago when he attacked Ukraine.
Yeah, it really is stunning to see how I think a stalemate is a good way of describing it. So let's start moving towards the talks. What do you make of what's been coming out, at least, of, I don't know if you call these hastily arranged talks or not, but the talks in Geneva, what do you make of what you're hearing coming out of these talks?
Jody, what we've been hearing today and yesterday is far better than what we were hearing with respect to the 28-point plan later last week, that it doesn't seem any more like these are Putin's talking points, that it does sound more like this is a true way forward to see success for the end of the war, but also for U.S. and Ukrainian and European objectives. And I'm really happy that that team in Geneva over the weekend took a look at every point and every word in that initial 28-point plan and made sure that they changed it to make it relevant to U.S. interests and to Ukrainian interests as well, always keeping in mind that it was Russia that started this war, that it's Russia that has sustained this war, and the only one that can make it stop is Putin, and we've got to make it sufficiently painful for him so that he stops the war that's been going on for the last 4 years.
Yeah, very well said. And I know there was a lot of concern over the original 28-point plan or 26 or whatever it was, but the one that was leaked evidently no longer exists. As you described, that was something, there was really nothing other than talking points for Vladimir Putin. Do we know how this new 19-point framework, or whatever the one that Europe seems to be countering, how is this looking? Are we getting wind of what this looks like? Is this, as you seem to believe, really more in line with an actual peace agreement?
Jody, I think there's 2 points that they considered heavily yesterday. The first one is that this is always going to be a trade-off between 3 primary factors: economy, geography, and security. And I think those trade-offs are all reasonable. But I think this deal hinges on security guarantees. That we've got to assume that Russia and Putin specifically are going to lie and are going to cheat. And unless we have ironclad security guarantees, then it just sets us up for the further phase of this conflict down the road. And what I've been hearing about this abbreviated plan is that it's a lot heftier on U.S. and European security guarantees, again, to hedge against the likelihood that Putin's going to lie and Putin's going to cheat going forward.
Well, so are all back to, shall we say, trust but verify. We've heard that kind of thing before, but something similar to take place now. A Kremlin official reportedly said the European counter, the one that we're talking about now, does not work for Russia. So are we kind of getting back to where we started, or is there real headway in these negotiations, do you think? In other words, is he just blowing smoke, or do you think we may really be going back to the drawing board?
Jody, I don't even think that the 28-point plan was going to be sufficient for Putin, because he really has this envisioning in his mind of taking over the totality of Ukraine. And so I don't even think that was going to work. I think going forward, that this newly crafted plan does two things. Number one, it puts the ball back in Putin's court to demonstrate that he never has been negotiating in good faith to begin with. And then number two, I think it gives time for these recently implemented sanctions to start taking hold. I actually think that the strictness of those sanctions from a couple of weeks ago that impact up to 50% of the revenue that comes into the Kremlin is the best way to up the ante of pain for Putin, so he realizes that the costs and risks are not worth continuing this war. And I think the longer we give those sanctions a chance to work and demonstrate that he's never been interested in negotiating in good faith, then it gives us a chance to, again, remind ourselves that the reason we're in this mess is because of Putin, and we must up the costs and the risks so that he realizes it is in his best interest to stop this conflict.
Well, I tell you, General Teichert, we always love having you on. Your ability to break this down and give a good perspective is always appreciated. Thank you so much, General John Teichert, for joining us today on Washington Watch.
Jody, I'm grateful for you and Tony and FRC. Thank you very much.